3, 2,
Oh, wow.
1.
What's going on, everyone? It's Adam Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our live DFS show for the 2021 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It is 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 my time, 6:30 your time. We're live for what feels like the first time in a while, Craig.
Yeah, it does feel like the first time in a while. It's going to be fun to go live at the end of the rounds because I feel like that gives us a little more to discuss, to digest, to take in.
Yeah, it's good having the chat. We are going to do live showdowns. Right now, I think we're tentatively scheduled for 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on Thursday, just based on, the last tee time and then seeing what happens, but that might change.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll let you know. We'll let you know on YouTube or on Twitter. I know not everyone is on Twitter, so if you're not, don't worry about it. We'll make sure that you know when it's happening on YouTube.
Yeah. Other thing, Listener League. We have a Listener League. Link is below. We have 100 spots. We're about what's that small?
I'm struggling with my strategy there. If I just need to go contrary to all the plays that I'm always talking about, because I feel like the people who are listeners here, they're gonna like their Victor Hovlands and their Xanders and their, all of those things. So I'm really struggling with the game theory behind the Listener League.
Wow, you're going to contrarian on yourself. That's a bold take. I don't know if I agree.
Well,
with
they're all guys from my player pool, but they're not necessarily the guys I've been hyping the whole time.
I got my best lineup. It's a bunch of guys I've talked about a bunch of times already this week. And I'm sticking that one in, and I'm going to earn that money with the picks I made. Just sticking with the picks.
Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, basically we're gonna plan to go through our plays. We'll obviously, I think up top we're gonna talk through everyone here, but then once we get a little bit lower, just let us know if you have any questions about people we haven't brought up. Anything else, Adam, or should we jump into it?
Yeah, a couple things. Yeah, want to make it a little bit more interactive than perhaps we've doing, not just going completely through the model. The model's not going to be on the website anymore, so the only way we're going to see it is the live shows. So we might do just a quick rundown of model rankings and value. And then, yeah, I have a couple other things, a couple other housekeeping things.
Okay, well, what are they?
I texted our parents asking them for their U.S. Open picks. Do you want to hear who their picks are to win?
Victor Hovland.
It's not. No.
No, I do want to hear.
It's not that entertaining, really, but they're both going with Jon Rahm. And Mom sounded a little bit kind of embarrassed almost going right at the top of the board. Yeah.
Well, I realized I forgot to get my European Tour fantasy lineups in a couple of weeks in a row, and
that doesn't surprise me.
I know. I mean, it's the classic Achilles heels of my season long fan. This is why I do daily fantasy, because you can't forget to do stuff. But yeah, Mom's closing the gap. I fall into third. She's in fifth now, I think. Ugh.
Okay, a couple questions here. Jumping right in for cash. Would you rather have Lowry and Reed or Usti and Zalatoris for cash? I like all four. All four are in my player pool.
Yeah,
Craig.
all four are mine as well. So cash.
I would go Lowry and Reed. I think Usti might be the highest owned there, and Zalatoris has been great in majors, but he still is there's more variables when you're early 20s, right?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I like both of those options, so I see why it's a question. I don't worry about the ownership as much in cash, so maybe you go Usti and Zalatoris for that reason. I would probably lean Usti and Zalatoris a little bit. I think so. I mean, I also think of Reed as I really like Reed as a play this week, but I think of him as a high upside. But when we spoke about him on I think it was the podcast,
right?
We talked about how he has high finishes and he misses cuts. So maybe you get a little bit more stability out of Usti and Zalatoris than you do out of Reed and Lowry.
Yeah,
I really like all four of those plays just generally.
Miami Mike asks, if you're playing a single entry, what price range are you starting your lineup with?
I mean, so we'll get into this here. I decided to plug in some Jon Rahm. I was going to go full fade in the 10K range, but I plugged in some Rahm. But, if I was just doing single entry, I would be starting in the 9Ks.
Yeah, if I was doing single entry, I would start around Morikawa, Xander, Victor, I think. Maybe two of those three, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to Brent Harris in a sec here. Do you want to go through the 10K plus
Yeah, let's do
your plays?
10K.
So
Let's do
I my
10Ks
only
here.
play is Rom. I don't have much of him. I've only got 13% on him, but essentially I kind of wanted to just I think that'll be close to or around his ownership. So it's kind of just a hold serve type play there, where I
Sure.
like Rom. I like him coming into this tournament. I think he's kind of due at a tournament that, or at a course that he has great history at. So I just did a little bit on Rom. It's just it makes it so tough to make lineups with his price.
Yeah, so I've ROM. So the highest I went for player pool. Let's talk player pool a little bit. I got 30 plays here. This is 20 max line or 20 lineups I'm talking about. My highest guys are at 30%, and ROM is one of those. How many?
Ooh.
Yeah, oh, I love ROM. Like he checks all the boxes. I don't know. Also, Craig, we got to remember the U.S. Open is back in its regular weekend, which Sunday falls on
Father's Day.
ROM Rory lineup.
Both of them are fathers. I see what you're saying. Or does that add like a whole nother element to it?
It's tough.
Maybe
It's
maybe
tough.
like, Xander's father's his coach. Maybe he wants to win for his coach, for his father. Um,
Yeah. Although that did you watch the USGA like 22-minute
no,
episode
I,
there?
I I saw the link that you sent me though. I will get to that.
He's an intense guy.
His
He talks
dad?
about
Oh
talks
yeah,
about
yeah,
him
for
being an
sure he
alpha
is.
and he's
He's a
intense.
super intense guy.
Super
He's
intense.
also like a character.
Yeah. Okay, so I
So
got it
so I'm
all.
30 lineups, 29 guys. No one. So we were chatting about it on the podcast, but I hadn't quite made my lineups yet. I did not go with any 6K plays. So I've got 29 guys, all at 7K or above.
Respect. I feel like a lot of people, if they're doing one lineup, are going with one person in the 6K. So Rama, I have 30. DJ, I got 10%. I kind of dislike DJ up here. I think he's closer perhaps than people think. Jordan Spieth is actually the hardest one for me to fade of all these guys. Jordan Spieth is the hardest because I feel like his magic around the greens might just be what is needed. But Bryson and Brooks, if they win, eh, I'm fine losing.
You seem to be really hammering the anti-Bryson train this week.
Well, it's like you don't play the defending champ. And okay, so here's a couple things. His record here is awful. Just tweeted it out. Look at our Twitter there. It's
It's not
awful at tournament.
exactly a sample size though. Like if that's,
No,
I wouldn't hang the hat on that one.
it's 78, 76, but it's two of its worst rounds in the last 5 years. At Wingfoot, everybody missed fairways because they just ran through. He was like top 30, I want to say, at like 42% of fairways hit. Like it was absurd but you can hit fairways here. And I think you do have to hit fairways. His strategy at Wingfoot, I don't think just translate perfectly here. Plus, there's just a ton of hype. He's defending champion. It's Bryson. It's Bryson versus Brooks. His ownership will be up there of guys in this range.
See, I feel like there's not a ton of hype, but maybe I'm wrong on that. I feel like there's a lot of Rom hype, which
Yeah.
the only thing counteracting that is his price. Like I think Rom, I have 13% on him. I'm not going to be surprised if that's under. I think likely we're going to be in the sort of 15 to 20% ish on Rom, but I don't quite know that. Couple things here.
Mhm.
So. Always, Ultra Truck X Man always makes me run away. Burrow, I hear you, and I've thought about whether it's a good week to kind of stay away from the Hovland or the Xander. I'm not. I just like them. I like the value too much, but I totally get that. I think that's a good game theory play. Is to kind of. So yeah, we'll get this to it in a sec. But so Mary Kill, one night
Okay,
stand,
let's
U.S.
go
Open,
back up this
PGA
one.
Open Championship.
So Brent Harris said the Masters is the supermodel we cannot have. So we marry kill one night stand, the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship, and the Open Championship. Hit the like, y'all. Yes, hit the like. Okay. Um, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
Well, I'm gonna marry the Open Championship. I mean, I just feel like it's got the pedigree. You've got the bloodlines there. You're marrying into like the old money. The old
Yeah.
money from across the pond. I feel like Yeah, maybe I'll one night stand with the U.S. Open. I think it's going to be a little bit of a wild ride. It's not going to be tame. It's going to be something that I maybe don't want to do this all the time. And then yeah, we'll kill the PGA Championship, and then maybe it'll come back as a match play.
Oh, I like that. So I kind of wish you didn't go first because those are the same answers I have. But yeah, the Open Championship, it is kind of just romantic on the links, coastal. It's a far off distant land for us a little bit. So it's romanticized a little bit. So let me marry the Open Championship. The US Open, I kind of agree. It's kind of like the big brash, like kind of like that supermodel, okay, or one night stand in the US Open. So yeah, the US Open is like in your face and it's right there. Don't know if you can handle it every day, but that one time, hey, and then unfortunately that just leaves PGA, but PGA is doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the PGA is going in a good direction. I think a lot of people hate on the PGA unnecessarily. I think that um, essentially it's sort of just a hype. It doesn't have the hype right now, and so it's kind
Yeah.
of jostled around the schedule a bit. I think if it finds a home, I think they could do some interesting things with that by differentiating it from the U.S. Open more. Because U.S. honestly, like the whole long rough, I find it to be a
Yeah.
little bit boring in terms of a it's interesting to see these guys struggle, but the long rough, like you need to have close mown areas. You need to have different things, and you need to kind of. It just gets old doing the same sort of long rough, parkland type golf
I saw
courses.
a transcript of Shane Lowry's press conference, and he said that he thinks the long rough around the greens takes some of the art and skill
For
out of it
sure.
because when you're on a tight lie, you gotta have be like super
Yeah,
precise.
your
Well,
margin of errors they're gone.
totally. So he thinks it neutralizes the feel a little bit, and he's gonna kind of hack it out. You can't decelerate; you just got to take a
Yeah,
full
yeah.
swing at it in this rough. And
It's like hitting bunker shots.
yeah, GS Luke DFS said, "Is Spieth injured? Seen some talk about it, but nothing definitive." Craig, I have nothing. I'm not aware of anything, but anything you've seen?
No, I haven't seen anything on that. I yeah, no, I think it's just people are kind of staying away from Spieth because they don't think he's a great fit at this course or in the U.S. Open, and so I mean that's why I'm staying away from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, shall we continue on into the 9Ks? This is where I've got a lot. Who is it? Burrow is saying that he thinks a lot of ownership's going to be in the 9Ks. I totally agree. I just think that's where it's where the value is to me in this player pool, and so that's how it's going to end up. Linden, the PGA was great, not just because of Phil narrative. I mean, it was good course. I thought it was like
Yeah.
that's exactly the type of thing I think the PGA needs to be doing is going to some of these courses that we don't see U.S. Opens at, and there, there's good courses all over the states. So yeah, let's hope
Yeah.
they do more of that in the future.
Yeah. 100% agree. Okay. Just plays here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going from 99 to 9,000. My plays in 9Ks: Rory, Colin Morikawa, Xander, Victor, Patrick Reed.
Okay, I've got the same, except I also have Cantlay in there.
So you did go with Cantlay.
Yeah, and you know what? Neither of us have JT. I think JT, depending on what happens, he might be one of the best contrarian plays there. Like JT at 9,700, and if his ownership isn't high, um, the form isn't good, but it's friggin' Justin Thomas. Like he can show up and win. So,
He can absolutely. I think he would be one of those people. If I made one more lineup after this, it'd be a FOMO JT. The more kind of I read about the reports on the course, it is going to be approach heavy, and that's what he does.
yeah. So it sounds like Spieth had tape on his ankle. May have jammed his foot. So
Oh, you know what? I
sounds
did
like
see
a
him.
bit of a bloody sock situation.
Bloody sock. I like that. I saw him, yeah, working with his forearm. Picture on Getty Images, I think.
No, that's
Uh,
not where the ankle is, but maybe he is.
I don't know. I did some post-secondary anatomy. No, you're right. Ankles on the foot. Ankles on the foot.
But you saw some wrist stuff as well. Man, the rumors are flying wild now.
Did you see this? Did you see the stairs video of Brooks? Can we talk about that for 30 seconds?
Yeah, I mean Brooks looked like he could barely go upstairs, but um, I mean
Do you kind of
he's looked super silly for a while now, moving around. It seems to be fine when he's hitting golf balls. So
I kind of feel like I don't know if I just don't buy any of this Brooks Bryson stuff, but like, is he just trying to put himself as Tiger 2.0 winning at Torrey and like, oh, hey, my knee, I could barely walk up the stairs on Wednesday, guys. Everyone saw it.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, I don't know, the whole Bryson Brooks thing. I feel like it's just beaten to death.
Tired? Yeah.
I hope honestly, I would love it if they contend and they're in the same group and we actually see some drama out of it. Because
Sure.
to me,
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just like it's like these YouTubers boxing each other or YouTubers boxing fighters. Like it's just a bunch of hype, and it's just like it's pre-fight UFC trying to. It's just
Yeah.
like a bunch of fluff. Like I
It's
don't
like
care
Conor
about
McGregor.
that. Let's either see it or let's not see it. Like I'm not gonna follow along your little drama. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about it. I don't really like. I know there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, it's bad for golf." I honestly don't care. Like, I don't care
Yeah.
if it's good for golf or bad for golf. It's just to me, it kind of makes them both look a little bit silly.
Okay. Any of the guys in the Nine King range at your highest owned or lowest owned? Like, what's kind of
So all
who's
of them
heavy
are
for
at
you?
27%. So that's my
Wow,
highest. I've
exciting.
got all of those guys at 27%, and then a few of my 8Ks, and then we start to taper down from there.
So I'm kind of in the same boat. I have all of them at 25 at least. I think the ones at 30, I have Morikawa, Xander, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I like Cantlay. I know that you stayed away from him. I found that I don't know. I feel like I could split up the ownership down there a bit. Um, yeah.
The thing,
I have probably too many players in the nines and the high eights, but I like
yeah,
I like so much of this value here.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we're flatter in kind of tier one than I think people necessarily think. I think Morikawa's knocking on that door, Xander's knocking on that door, Hovland, Cantley, like any week or any, I mean, month, these guys can pop into the top five in the world. It seems like so.
I think the number
Uh,
one course comp for fit on Data Golf, TPC Harding Park.
it was up there, but it's top five. I think I went back to look.
Oh, maybe it's not number one, but I do remember seeing it up there. Which, yeah, like if that was long rough, that was there's no reason a player like Colin Morikawa should win there, except for the fact that he's really good at hitting golf balls. So
Yeah.
I was not super on board when you were first talking about him this week, but I've come around. I think he's just a stud.
So William Neal there says you can still play ROM and have a 9K guy without getting into the 6K. I did do that, I think, a couple times, pairing him with other guys that like in the low nines. And I think low sevens, we talked about on our podcast, is just absolutely littered with where the optimal is going to be. But I mean, it's like pick your veteran if you want, or pick your young, like up and comer.
I managed to put a Rom Rory together without getting into the sixes. So you just really have to sacrifice the rest of your the
You
rest of your
got the
lineup.
you got the Father's Day lineup. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
You have it. I got to check back to see if I have that. No, I
Okay,
do. I
okay,
do.
so into the eights. I have a lot
Rattle
of.
them off.
Sorry.
Rattle them off. Let's
Okay,
hear
so
it.
I have a lot of plays here as well. Finau, Hideki, Webb, Zalatoris, Tyrrell Hatton, Usti, Cam Smith.
No Scheffler.
No Scheffler. You didn't sell me on him.
I didn't sell you on Scheffler. Hey, on our podcast. That's kind of insulting. Um.
I mean,
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. I get all the things you're saying about Scheffler. I don't know. Like you can't make all the plays. I really like these four right above him.
Yeah.
And so I just had to start sacrificing Scheffler, Berger, Connors. Yeah, I just I feel like my player pool is too big as it is. So
Yeah, I hear. Actually, I don't think we did at the top of the show to sort by the model. Hey, speaking of Webb, I feel like Webb is up there for model. Do you want to do a who cracks the model?
Rom Zander, who I think are now the betting favorites.
And reminding me for this model, did you do both U.S. Open and Torrey, and Farmers Insurance Story, or
um, it's a average of the U.S. Open and of Torrey.
nice? So
So
wherever you're at in the show, screenshot it. 19 minutes in. Here's the model.
and then I guess the model value. There's a few names here. Harris, we'll get to him. But Bez,
Ooh.
Webb. The other thing, like these aren't perfect numbers because all these do is take into account what the PGA Tour stats have. So again,
Yeah.
like we're not getting, that's where like sometimes I think the data golf numbers where they take all the different tours and
Right.
put them
Right.
together, I think gives you a much better feel for that. But it's better than nothing, I guess. But I still feel like it's just a tool that you use to make your plays. It's still all about that feel.
Yeah. Shawn Michael says Berger being disrespected. He is absolutely being disrespected. He seems, from all kind of projections I've seen, to be, I think, well under 10% owned. One at AT&T Pebble Beach. He's just a hard guy to predict. I mean, it's kind of Patrick Reed-ish, where I think it's really higher, could be a miscut.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I struggle with Berger is he doesn't. I mean, he has some okay success at U.S. Open. He's got a top six. He doesn't have the best history in majors, and so he's one of these guys. I'm trying to figure out, is he just like a really good tour player that is going to get some PGA Tour wins and maybe will show up every once in a while in a major. And that's kind of where, same thing I was with Corey Connors. Like, you
Yeah.
know, depending on what the course is for a major and whatnot, yes, I see getting there. But like, as opposed to a Louis Oosthuizen, where I'm like, I think this guy, if anything, is going to be better in majors. It's the same thing we were talking about with Shane Lowry at one point, I think, going into the PGA or that week. There's just guys where I don't like them as much week to week, but come major time, I kind of give them a bit of a bump. And then there's guys that the opposite, where you might like them a little bit
Yeah.
more and then give them a bit of a hit. And I'm trying to figure out whether Berger fits into that or not.
Yeah, he's a tough one. Like, you can put his line at majors in his career kind of at zero point 0.5, and I don't know where I would take it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he won one, but also we have such incredible group of golfers that he's going to be going against for the
Yeah.
next decade and a half, that you only got 4 chances a year, and it's really effing hard.
Yeah, and if Phil's trying to still get his too, then it makes it even harder.
Yeah. Okay, my plays in 8K. I got Finau, Hideki, Webb, Zalatoris. I think we're the same there. I got Scotty Scheffler, and then I skipped down to Louis Oosthuizen and Cam Smith.
So you're getting off the Hatton.
Getting off the hat, yeah, another guy whose major record isn't as good as it should be. I feel like.
I agree. But I feel like that's going to change.
I,
I don't know if it will or not.
he's 29 years old. His No, no, it's not bad. He had a bad 2020. He's coming back. He had a top 20 at the Masters. Um, got a pretty good record at the Open for sure, and the
Yep.
PGA at the 1/6. Yeah, just a bad
Oh,
2020.
can't trust Canadians on the POA. Man, we grew up playing on POA up here.
Ontario?
Ontario,
Maybe
I
not
don't
the.
know. I don't know so much out there.
Yeah, you can trust the Hadwins and the Nick Taylors and the.
Well, there's a lot of bent grass here too. But we, specifically me and you, grew up before we replaced the greens on Quail. It used to be POA.
There you go.
Um, okay, where are we at here? Oh, so you're not on Rose either. I thought he was
No,
your boy.
I mean his putter has been super hot when he's
Yes,
doing well.
so that's where it came from me. Like his
Yeah.
results have been really good, but then you look at it and it's so heavily, like it's been carried by the putter, and you're like, oh man, I like his Torrey history, I like his U.S. Open history. I just
Yeah.
don't think his ball striking's in a great spot. I wouldn't be surprised, if he grinded his way to a finish here. It would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah.
But I not enough that I want to stake it.
If he was 76, he'd be in my pool. I bet. It's honestly, it's
Oh,
just a
rumor,
little.
just one real quick here. Rumor about Webb Simpson not being healthy. I feel like I had heard something about that as well. But I'm not, he's still a play for me, still hammering it. So I'm not terribly concerned about it.
I'm a little bit concerned. Guys, I have at 30% in the A case, Finau and Webb. So that would be a little bit concerning for me. Maybe I'll just lose six
So he
lineups out of the
withdrew
gate
he
tomorrow.
withdrew from Wells Fargo with a neck injury.
I can do some Getty image search after the show and see if he's got
Um, you're gonna
Tape on his neck or
you're
something.
gonna go look up his Instagram to see if he was playing with his kids or if he was notably
Yeah.
not picking them up or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
into the sevens, high sevens here. Yeah, he did withdraw. He has played since then, and I don't.
I thought he had a stomach bug thing recently too.
He's just so steady
Until he's not.
until he's not.
Uh, we got a question here in FanDuel. Rose, Horschel, or Scheffler Ortiz. I'm not 100% certain of the prices, so I'll just kind of
Well,
just
it doesn't matter. You got the two choices to choose between.
Scheffler Ortiz then.
Yeah, I'm punting. I want to know what your other options are personally. I don't have Rose Horschel or I don't have any of the four in my player pool. So yeah,
Ortiz was a hard cut for me.
I hear that and I get that. It just wasn't. I wasn't there on Ortiz. I feel like I was looking through his results and whatnot. I don't quite have any faith for majors with him, and the form I don't think is great either. But if I had to choose between those two, I'd probably lean Scheffler Ortiz. But that's because I think I like Scheffler better than both the Rose or Horschel
Yeah.
plays. But I don't have a ton of faith in Ortiz. So.
Brent, I have a question. He's talking about the Tour Junkie show. Simpsons Caddy was on. I only saw their clips on Twitter, but I did see a clip about him saying that he doesn't like Poa. And I wasn't sure if that was the caddy not liking Poa or Webb. But if you know what he's referring to, please throw it in the chat because I'd be interested.
Yeah. Okay. High sevens here. Do it up, Adam.
So what's that to 75?
Yep.
Paul Casey, big gap. Shane Lowry, Jason Kokrak, Joaquin Neiman, Sergio Garcia.
Oh, you're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Okay, so few differences. Casey Fitz. I've got Fitzy at 78.
I like it. Yeah.
Lowry, Kokrak, Gary Woodland, Neiman,
Yeah.
and no
Yeah.
Sergio.
Burns was a kind of a tough cut for me.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
had
gonna
no
lie.
problem cutting Burns, personally.
When he's good though. Like,
Yeah, oh, for sure. I just don't. He's such a tough spike. Like to me, if he was maybe 74-ish, then he'd be a tough cut. It's so volatile. I think he's probably a good DFS play. I would take a couple, like I would have very low owned shots with him because he's kind of a high upside play, and I would have him. Likely I would pair him with people that I think are chalky because I don't think Burns is going to get a ton of love at 77.
yeah. Craig, I want to throw a question to you, and I don't know if you want to answer it now or save it for a later show, but we were talking about Paul Casey 7,900 here. This is the last week for Olympic team qualifying.
Yeah, so we are going to talk about this a few times and kind of follow it as it goes along. So essentially, come the end of this week, the Olympic qualifying rankings are locked in. So the USA is going to be interesting. There's 4 from the USA because they have more than 4 in the top 15 of the world rankings.
Yeah. No DJ.
No DJ. DJ's opted out, but the 4 I can't remember who they are right now. I think JT, Bryson, Xander, and Morikawa, I believe. But the Great Britain's going to be really interesting. So Terrell
Yeah.
Hatton's locked up his spot, but then Matt Fitzpatrick and Paul Casey are 19 and 20 in the official world golf
Right.
rankings. So essentially, they're kind of playing a match play. Whoever gets more points out of this tournament likely will take the lead. And then if both of them got into the top 15 in the world, they could potentially have 3 going from Great Britain. So maybe a
Right.
nice first second from Casey Fitzpatrick would get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But realistically, they're playing for that last Olympic spot this week, which it's it's
So
it's a fun little side element to it.
For sure. And when I was around at TV, I tried to have Golf Channel on this week, and Paul Casey came up and they did mention that at the start of the year, their number one goal, Paul Casey and his team and his caddy, was make the Olympics. So he knows very, very well like where they stand. I'm sure Fitzy does as well.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking here, I would think Rose really has no shot unless he were to win, maybe. Lee Westwood, I guess, with a win, he's 27th, and
Mm,
Rose is 42nd. So you'd have to see something pretty
yeah.
special for them to jump up, into the teens to get past Casey and Fitzpatrick.
So Brent Harris clarify this is Webb Simpson's caddy said found Torrey too long, only played it in 2011. His health hasn't been great, neck, COVID, and getting old. Um,
Hey, that's kind of how I feel too. I mean, besides
yeah,
the
I can
COVID.
hear. But getting old, I feel that lathering up in sunscreen, I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, you got
Being
to get the
Webb.
sunscreen beard thing going. I used to think that looked ridiculous. Now I'm just like, man, that person's sun
Yeah.
smart.
His follow through is like he does such a weird little twist with his follow through, but I mean, at least with Webb, you're like in terms of his neck, he's never swinging too crazy hard,
Yeah.
right? Like,
So Idarius 72 question, why not? Why 20 max instead of 150 max? It is because neither of us used an optimizer. So essentially we're just building
mhm.
them by hand. But I think, as COVID is coming to an end here in Canada, we are having less and less time. So I may look at finding an optimizer I can use. So that might be a road that I go down, but we'll see.
Yeah, Grandstand Golf is going to be constantly evolving and changing a little bit, and you guys, uh, yeah, may notice that.
Um, Other quest. So other Olympic matchups. I mean, at the top, the U.S. could easily shuffle. We've got Bryson, Xander. So Cantlay and Reed are right on the outside. So with the result, any sort of significant result that would leap over Xander in sixth, they would get in there. The South Africans. Okay, so we're not there yet in terms of the DFS pool, but the South Africans bet.
Yeah,
So Garrick Higo passed Christian Bezuidenhout to get into. He's number two for South Africa. Louis number one, and they are neck and neck at. 39 and 46 in the rankings, so we could very easily see um, a flip there if one of them, I mean, six spots down there doesn't take much,
hmm
a top 10 could flip you. um,
yeah.
so we'll see.
I like it's good narratives that you might, I mean, hear on the broadcast as the week goes along, especially as it gets tighter and tighter, right? You lose half the field, but those guys are both in it. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And those are the only ones that jump out at me now. We'll get into it a little bit more if it comes up more in the week, but so high sevens, I
So
think we got there. Someone was
yeah,
questioning your
well,
no
not
fits play. Lyndon was questioning your no fits play.
yeah, no fits. I would like to see. I would be happy with it if he won, but ultimately, I don't know if he's a U.S. Open guy.
He does have a
I
12th
that
and a 13th, I believe. Oh, but his name's changed, so
Fitz, come on.
I believe he was 12th and 13th in 18 and 19.
Yeah, I think it's a good play. Probably one of the if I had a player pool of 40, he'd probably be in
Yeah.
it.
Kokrak, I went through. Lowry, we brought up on the show. Sergio, you want to give another plug as to why that?
So okay, in this range again, highest for anyone is 30%. I do have Paul Casey at 30%. Lowest of anyone I have is 10%. That's two lineups. I have Sergio at 10%. Just kind of like I said, I think it was on the podcast. If not, it was right before when we were talking. But if Sergio's at the top of his game,
Yeah, it's the
uh,
upside that you like.
it's absolutely the upside. It's a GVP type thing. Nobody's talking about him, so I do love that. He's a great ball striker when he's on, and if the greens neutralize putters in any way, that might help Sergio. So I'm willing to waste two lineups of 20 on that chance because there's a lot of ownership going to Lowry and Kokrak. It sounds like.
Yeah, which disappoints me a bit. I thought Kokrak was going to be a little bit of a sneaky play, but I guess other people saw that same sneaky play that I did.
Yeah. I mean,
To me,
I have both
essentially, I
these
think
guys
I think the
behind.
argument for Sergio, you could make that same argument sort of for Burns. I mean, obviously they're at different points of their career, but I kind of feel like both of them have they have a high upside potential to their game. Like both of them have win equity, I would say. It's just I don't see a ton of it, So,
Yeah, and I'm fully aware of Sergio's recent major record.
yeah,
It is
and I
awful.
guess in a lot of ways, I'm looking more for made cut equity and that top 10 equity down here, and hoping that the top end of my player pool does well. But I mean, all of these guys obviously still have top 5 equity, I would say. Gary Woodland, I think, is the only one I have that, or one of the ones I have that you don't. I feel like he's a little bit similar to Patrick Reed, what we were talking about, where he's been hit or miss, but
Yeah.
so he's someone I would probably avoid in cash plays, but I will be going to for sure in GPPs because I do think he is an upside.
I mean, yeah, 3 of the last 4 at least gaining on approach. One in the U.S. Open, one in the U.S. Open in California, one in the U.S. Open on Polo Greens. Um,
There's just a little bit of a wild card factor to it.
a little bit of wild card, but it is interesting that he's not being talked about more.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, to be honest. 74, Craig, to 7,000. This is the range. I said on podcast, said at the top of the show, this is the range that's going to make or break it here. I got 9 guys.
Oh, sorry. I'm all red again because this window behind me brings all the sunlight in.
Yeah, on our podcast, your eyes were like frozen blue.
Yeah, man, it's just because I
Disney
got
frozen,
brilliant blue eyes. I don't see many people playing in. I agree.
He seems to be out of form.
I'm not playing him. I'm a little bit off Sungjae. So, when I'm talking about guys that I feel like are good, kind of show up every week and get a 20th on the PGA Tour, but I'm not really feeling their ability to push the top 10. That's kind of where I'm feeling with Sungjae right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so 74. Adam Scott seems to be getting a lot of love right now in the birdies are tweeting.
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's become later in the week, kind of Tuesday, Wednesday, he's been getting a lot more love. But I like it. He's one of your sleepers.
Yeah. So I've got Brian Harman, and if I could go back in time, I would probably take all of my ownership and put it on Harman because the more that I looked at it, the more that I like it. You're saying I could still do that, so I should put my money where my mouth is.
I could turn
So,
back time. Yeah, sorry.
Brian Harman, Adam Scott, Max Homa at 73, Kristen Bez 72, Sink 72, Hoffman 72, Streelman, Palmer, and Charles Schwartzel.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to break that down because I was looking at Brian Harman's major record.
Second to the US
I like
Open.
the 2017. Where was that?
Not Shinnecock. It was Aaron Hills.
Pretty long one.
Yeah. No, I think Harman's form is unbelievable. I think even if you look at like when he has other good results, I don't think he was playing anywhere. The way that I was feeling, I was like, I'm gonna look back on Harman after the tournament and be like, obviously he was gonna outperform. Like his form's so good. So yeah, I don't know. He's just someone that I don't think I have brought up yet this week. That as I was making my player pool, I was like, man, like I really like this play. I don't know what ownership's going to be like, but I don't think he's going to attract. Maybe just the form will cause him to get some ownership, but I don't think it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
So sorry, Harman, Scott, Homa, Bez, Sink, Hoffman, Streelman, Palmer, Schwartzel.
Got it. Baracho said Adam Scott had a positive interview today. Yeah, it sounded good. So let me preface this by saying I get this guy wrong almost every time, but I think Homo might be the biggest trap down here.
I hear you. And I don't think it's a safe play by any means. The thing that I like about it is I don't think he really has any major results.
None, and that's what I was going to bring up exactly.
But the thing I see with Homa, so he's got the distance first off, but then he is someone who like has legit upside. So he's not a huge play; he's a 13% play, but he's kind of like I feel like I'm putting him in the Burns, in the Lowry, in the Sergio Garcia, where like if you do get the hit on Homa, the potential for that hit is a high upside, but I think he's got tons of miscut potential. Or I don't think he's a safe
Yeah.
made cut by any means. So,
Yeah, when we talk about the PGA Tour Pro and the major, I mean, 7 starts, 6 mixed cuts, best finishes T64.
so you're
Include the
saying it's
players.
looking good.
Include the players. That's another miscut, 1 of 1. When you do include WGCs, then he has some top 20 finishes. But it seems when the field is stronger, and granted, I know he's made big steps in his career this year. I
Yeah.
get that. California positive for sure. Can hit it a long way. Yeah. I think the stats and the profile work out. Um, it's that large event, strong field
Yeah, for
thing
sure.
that
I
worries me.
mean, so the thing I guess I would say is that he's never been inside the top 100 until this year. So he's sort of like
Yeah.
essentially, if you think he's kind of he won Quail Hollow 2019. He won Genesis. Like he's sort of just at that point where his career is on the uptick. If he is going to have any sort of major form at any time, likely it's gonna. I want to say he's 30 now, so it's gonna be. You'd think the prime is the next 5 years. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. The downside, I think, with Homa is that probably always carries a little bit more ownership than he should, just because he's such a popular guy. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, it always is nice to cheer for him too.
Um, my list here: Adam Scott, Mark Leishman, Harris English, Christian Bezadenhout, Garrick Higo, Stuart Sink, Charlie Hoffman, Ryan Palmer, and Ian Poulter. Those are my 9 guys from 74 to 7,000.
Is anyone in the lower 7K considered a safe play to make the cut? No, that's probably a good point. um,
No, but of the ones, so my highest actually owned here, different from our sleeper show, where I've seen in Palmer, which I have a fair amount. Charlie Hoffman, I have at 30%.
I thought you were saying you weren't going to do anything silly like this.
It's only 30%.
Yeah, I know, but I thought after the Russell Henley 35%, you decided you weren't going to take big shots in the low 7Ks.
Yeah.
So is anyone in low 7Ks considered safe play to make the cut? To me personally, I would say Christian Bez is the closest thing to it. And this is potentially, I would also say he maybe has less upside. I don't think by any means, I don't think he's a sure thing. But just the style of golf he plays, he's so good. Like, he turns bogeys into pars with his short game. He turns double bogeys into bogeys with his short game. Like he
Yeah.
just is very good at. He's less good at, hey, I need to make flash a bunch of birdies or just run over this golf course. But he's really really good at just being super efficient, which I think leads to a lot of made cuts.
Of the group I said there, I think my safest would be Scott, Sink, and maybe Poulter.
Oh, I think Poulter's like the
But
least safe person in the field.
I'm not a big Poulter guy either.
No, I mean I like Poulter's form. I stayed away from him personally, but I think it's a good. I think it's a fine play.
I think we're both agreeing like the short game gives you a floor, a safer floor
Typically, I would say.
to make the cut. So that's why I'm going there. Um, Sorry, a couple questions here, and we did miss one about Vegas or Patrick Rogers. You have no
Mid
6Ks.
66, 65 kind of thing.
Yeah, you have no 6Ks.
Vegas
I'm
is
scrolling up. I think
68. I don't mind Vegas. I mean, he has decent form. I want to say he has been playing. He gains so consistently off the tee.
Sorry, it's Stephen Davison said Rogers or Vegas spill the beans. I'm Rogers on this one.
Honestly, the one guy who was my last cut in this range was Brendan Steele.
He's getting a lot of
I know.
talk though.
And ultimately, it was just like the lack of sort of all the good things. Like he's got a great cut streak going, but the difference between a cut streak and a 77th to me is like, okay, I'm not really gonna write home about that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Taylor Pendrith to me as well as someone I like. Just he has the distance. I don't know. I guess down in this range you kind of just have to go with your gut and pull the trigger because you can find problems and upside, I think, with a lot of plays.
So my general philosophy this week is I'm playing a lot of plays up top that I think are popular. So I'm not going to be touching the Brendan Steeles and the Pendrist with, I feel like when you have someone like a Pat Mayo talk about them or a Rick Rungood, their ownership's going to go up.
Who are they?
So
Who are
I'm
they
not going to
hyping? Steele or Penrith?
both.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. So the one I was
I
gonna
think those
say,
guys are
just
super
going
risky.
back to the top of this range.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So I agree with you. I think any sort of chalky. I mean, it's sort of the mistake I made with John Pack last week, where like this is going to be a chalky play, but like, does this guy have the upside? And he just came out there and put up a stinker in the first round. Actually, so Lynn G, any long shots on Euros? Dietrich seems like a decent play. I thought he was one of the guys that made it in my pool longer than he should have, and then ultimately got cut when I decided to go shallower. But the one I wanted to get to here before we get to some of the long shots, Leishman, I think, is a very interesting person this week. He has an awesome record at Torrey Pines. You have him in your pool. I've avoided him. I think ownership's going to be high, but I think there is definitely a lot of reasons to like him.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially that's how you feel. Ownership concerns.
Yeah, ownership concerns. I think his play is kind of appropriate. He's priced appropriately for kind of what he is, but he has said this is one of his favorite courses, and if he's going to like take it, it's going to be on Torrey Pines. So, got to feel good about that. But he can be the last man in if you build a balanced lineup, and he's a veteran. It's fine by me. I'll take some shots there.
Yeah. Harris, you spoke about before. Homa, we got to Bez. I've spoke about Sink. I think we're both on. Both Sink and Hoffman kind of have that old man form going for them.
Baracho said Hoffman feels safe to me, and the reason I didn't say that is because he is the most safe. Like major record, check. Like form, check. Like San Diego native, check. Like I feel like when it's everything, I don't want to be like this is a safe play because that's when it's a miscut. But he's my highest exposed. I feel like it's both safe and upside with Hoffman.
So you got to build that Hoffman, Xander, Phil, Cantlay, Homa, all the Morikawa maybe. I guess he's more of a North Cal guy, isn't he?
Cut out Phil, put in Morikawa.
To me this range is probably the most fun. Another guy. So there's a couple guys here. I got off of Higo. I think it's a fine play. I just think the ownership again similar to Leash. Like I like the Leash play. I just think it's going to be popular. I like the Higo play. I just think it's going to be popular. I almost talked myself into Brandon Grace. But it couldn't quite get there. He did have the good form at PGA before falling off, and is coming off a good one at Memorial. I would love to see it. If you read more about his story, he's had a very rough go of it in the past year. So he's someone that's easy to cheer for. Matt Wallace was one I was going to break up. I think he has legit upside. I'm just staying away from it.
Yeah, actually kind of the opposite of Scott. I feel like he was talked about early in the week and then not so much lately. It seems like he'll be actually quite low owned. And one of the reasons he was a cut from my pool was because I thought he was going to be pretty popular down here. But yeah, I think he should be a fine play.
Matt Wallace.
Yeah.
Matthew Wolff. I guess we brought him up.
No,
I couldn't get there either.
He's spraying it every time we've seen him this spring. Yeah. Like he's spraying it.
Yeah,
I'm cheering for him.
I'm going to be keeping a very close. Like he's someone that if I see any flashes of ball striking, I'm gonna be quick to put him into showdown lineups. Because his upside is so good. But not going to do a tournament long.
Yeah.
Okay, so 6K plays. I know you've got a couple.
I talked about it on our podcast. I have 10% of EVR and I have 10% of Patrick Rogers. I'm really not trying to go down here that much. I think there's a huge drop off from 7,000, even into 69. I think it's a huge drop off. I don't want to risk it. Yeah, you might strike lightning or get that top 10 play if you're super lucky, or a top 20 play if you're lucky. Um, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not what I'm doing this
I
week.
almost talked myself into Zach Johnson, but man,
But alas, you did not.
alas, I did not. He just has like a ridiculous. Like, what was he doing getting eighth at Winged Foot in September? There's no reason that should have happened. Like, I just can't understand how that guy is still hanging around.
Yeah, William Neal says I get that. There's lots of talents down here. I mean, I almost did a Sahith. I like him. Actually, we talked about on our podcast. I mean, he's got game,
So
but
those
they're
all
all
those guys,
unproven.
I'll probably take some random shots in showdowns. I just don't like majors. 4 days at a major is just a big ask, and so I think that's more what I'm going to do with that end of the player pool is try to take some shots that they're going to go out there early or late or whatever it is, and they might put together a good 18 holes and.
The other thing too, I think I was looking at the optimal lineup from Winged Foot, and Zalatoris was 6,700. I don't think there's a Zalatoris in the 6,000s. Zalatoris is a different
Well, no,
beast.
because we saw the form before, like we saw the form
Yeah,
before then with
but
how
like,
consistently he was putting up top tens and whatnot on the Corn
yeah,
Ferry.
Cameron Young playing excellent, but I don't think he's a Zalatoris. Pendrith, isn't there. Like all these guys, it's not what Zalatoris is and has proven to be.
Yeah, the thing that just pisses me off more than anything is that like,
Why didn't smash him at
well, no, I
67 or
did,
what?
but like how those didn't turn into any big wins, like I was all over
And
that
you're on
early.
Bryson.
Yeah, I'd actually, I think I did, I think I had a positive week at the U.S. Open, but that's just those ones that get away where like you're like it's a positive week, but like these
And
GPPs are so skewed towards getting those top fives, top tens, or else.
nobody was playing Bryson. It's so funny to look back at Wingfoot like before Thursday. Nobody was playing Bryson.
Yeah, and this might be part of the problem of spreading yourself out too thin. Like 29 people, 430
Yeah.
lineups is probably too thin. So maybe that's as I continue to adjust, maybe I decide to cut the fat a little bit, or
Okay, so
increase the lineups.
I think the questions are kind of down a bit, but throw them out there. I got a couple questions for you, Craig. Some are YouTube, some are just mine. There's a question on one of our shows. What is your dream playoff here? Playoff, and just pick two guys. Don't pick 10 guys. Playoff and outcome.
Like my heart, or like what do I think would be the most
So,
compelling?
okay, I'll start off. I said my head is Xander over Rom. My heart is Finau over Victor.
Yeah, those would be fun. To me, it would be like something that kind of has some interesting, like a good Patrick Reed, Rory McIlroy would be a good one. Something that has like, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess Bryson Brooks is a little bit of an obvious one right now, but
Robert, the listener league has not filled up, so make sure to go in the link in the description and enter. It's only $1. You can win back 27. That's a 27x. I did the math in
I
my
did see
head.
someone wanted to borrow $1 to play. I think maybe it was Shawn Michael,
I I hosted it. I just don't know what happens if it doesn't fill. Am I on the hook?
probably.
I mean,
You better win.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't.
I had
You're
one
starting to get
more.
skinny.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say one more question. I don't know if DraftKings drops it. I have no idea. First time doing it.
I think
If
likely it
it
just scales down.
question was, who are you most afraid of that you're overexposed and is gonna miss the cut and pie in the face?
Terrell Hatton.
Interesting. That's an interesting one.
To Hatton, to me, I feel like I'm playing him a little bit because the narrative is that he's not good in majors, and so his ownership is going to be lower. So I think that like I'm kind of looking at that as a bit of a leverage play. Of like I don't think he's bad in majors, so if I can kind of beat the curve there, but I kind of do think that maybe he is, like maybe there is something to that or whatever. So that's probably one of the higher ones that I have that I'm like, man, I'm not super confident in it, but I kind of like the game theory behind it.
See, for me, the answer to the question is someone I'm playing that I know is going to be chalky, but I'm still overexposing myself. Um, and that's Paul Casey. If
Yeah.
Paul Casey misses a cut, I'll be a little bit choked. Because I feel like he's both safe and upside, and he's one of my highest owned guys.
Yeah, I see. I have a tough time knowing. I'm 23% on him, so likely I'll be. I think he'll be, high
I think
teens, low 20s,
20s,
or
yeah,
yeah, maybe even sneaks up into the mid. Winning score.
I like it. The
Um.
question, not
Oh, I was gonna say. What- um. You
five
got
under, five under,
500.
just to screw Kevin.
I'm gonna say three.
I like it.
I don't think I honestly think it might play a little bit easier, but I'd love to see it be a bit of a bloodbath out there.
Thank you for entering. Kevin, I don't think is going to be in the contest because he still hasn't figured out how to
How
download DraftKings.
he's a tough one. He likes to stick to his sports book, and he doesn't quite get the whole daily fantasy thing
He'll
yet.
figure out the scores in the Monday newspaper, and then we'll talk about it. Uh,
We did not
Honestly,
talk about Bubba Watson.
he, I'm not gonna lie, he was one of my latest cuts. And I think I was just a little bit burned from Memorial because I actually did hop on him at Memorial, but I think he's completely a fine play. I think he's a good pivot. I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not there. I have too many plays in the kind of 74, 75. So to me, I like Scott Harmon. Watson probably has a lot more ownership edge, but I'm kind of hoping Harmon is a little bit low owned. That might be naive. We'll see.
Casey does come up small a lot when he's popular. He also seems to be one of these guys where his stats sometimes seem better than the outcome, but the outcome has been incredible in 2021.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm super hungry here and I'm starting to lose concentration, lose focus. So I'm gonna go have some dinner. We will see you guys live all week long after the
Yep.
rounds end.
Good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Good luck, and yeah, hit that like button on your way out.
Yeah. See you guys. Take care.
So yeah.